The following presentation is brought to you by American Legion Post 416, Greendale, Wisconsin. Veterans of Foreign Wars, VFW Post 10, 519, Greendale, Wisconsin. Disabled American Veterans, DAV Chapter 19, West Allis, Wisconsin. The Veterans Community Relations Team, VCRT, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Machinery and Welder Corporation, West Allis, Wisconsin. And by viewers like you. From the global resources of Veterans Media Services. This is Veterans Newsline with Dave Ragnar. Welcome to this edition of Veterans Newsline. Today we are at the Hmong American Peace Academy in Milwaukee, and we're here for a ceremony they're putting on to honor our Vietnam vets and the Hmong people who fought side by side with American soldiers in Vietnam. First up, we're going to be talking to Chief Meteorologist John Milan from Channel 4, also a Vietnam veteran. So, without any further ado, let's talk to John for a few minutes. All right, joining me now is John Milan. John is the chief weather guy over at Channel 4, and of course he was honored here among many veterans at the Hmong event here on the north side of Milwaukee. And John, to start out with, tell us a little bit about what you did in the service.
Oh, in the service? Well, basically I was in armor training, Fort Knox, Kentucky. And while I was there, the whole unit got moved to Vietnam, one of the first armor units to go to Vietnam. So, of course, I got dragged along, but honorably, and served a year there. I drove APCs, armored personnel carriers. I drove tanks. I drove every vehicle that was considered an armored vehicle. And then I went back for 10 more months and crewed helicopters. I guess I couldn't have enough, right?
Did you fly them, or?
I didn't fly them. I was trained on them, so if something happened, I could go into the front seat and fly that helicopter. But no, I was a crew chief and a door gunner.
Boy, we have a lot in common. Of course, I served in Germany, 3rd Armored Division.
Oh, wow.
And I did pretty much almost the same thing except with the helicopters. Tell us a little bit about today's event. What are we about to see today?
Well, today's event is all about honoring Vietnam vets from not only the armed forces, Army, Marines, Navy, but the Hmong, who were our secret allies in that war, and they're honoring them also, along with our regular Vietnam veteran Army, Marines, Navy, Coast Guard, etc. So we're getting these nice awards from the Hmong community, which were instrumental in the war with the American allies.
I was just going to ask you that. Do you know what level of participation the Hmong people played? Are they different than the Viet Cong, or tell us what you know?
No, what I know, and I'm not a historian on it, but they were actually our in-country allies. So you had the South Vietnamese regular army, and then you had them supporting both the South Vietnamese army and the Americans there. And so the things we didn't know about the country, obviously, were visitors there. They were able to fill all those voids and help us get through situations geographically and supply-wise, and actually fighting alongside of us at times also. So when they talk about it being the secret war, the secret of the war was we had these allies that were helping us the whole time.
And people didn't see that on the news, did they?
They really did not. And as a matter of fact, most of the Vietnam vets knew about Hmong, but most Vietnam vets never really had close association unless you were really what we call the grunts, you know, out in the field, in the bushes, dealing with that kind of situation.
Well, John, I want to thank you very much for taking the time to talk with us today.
It's my pleasure to be here.
John also interviewed Joe Campbell, who you folks will be seeing in the event coming up. He's going to be speaking too. Now let's take a look at John's interview with Joe Campbell.
Did you ever work with the Hmong in Vietnam?
Never. I didn't even know who they were, honestly.
And it seems true that all of us, the same way, you heard of Hmong, but you never really worked with them, but they were always our allies, weren't they?
That was correct. We had no clue.
And just tell me more about how you feel about getting this wonderful plaque.
I feel that the honor is really to them, not to me or to us Vietnam vets. But to do it together as a partnership with them and letting them know that they want to thank us, and obviously we want to thank them. So it's just an absolutely wonderful thing.
And I think it is a good thing that the Hmong are finally being honored and people are finally getting, they're finally getting the recognition they deserve.
Absolutely. I think it's time that, our community, for the most part, I think, is recognizing more and more. But this school is evident of their dedication and what they're really doing as far as trying to really make sure that the children get not only a good education, but a very well-founded education.
You in the parade tomorrow?
I will be there, John.
You always make the parade, don't you?
Not really, but I want a view from the pew one time, but I'll be in there.
Well, maybe one of these days I'll join the view from the pew with you and we'll just watch the parade.
Well, welcome home to you, John.
And welcome home to you.
Thank you.
And now, let's take a look at today's event.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Next, we will have the invocation by Chaplain Ray Stubbe.
Let us pray. With thankful hearts full of joy, we remember your compassion, O Lord. You deliver us from evil places and people that diminish life. You faithfully place us where we may live and grow in peace with family, friends, and teachers, that we may enjoy a full and a rich life. You give us opportunities beyond our dreams and expectations to help one another, to appreciate your goodness and praise you, to develop into persons we might be. Bless this gathering, O Lord, these people and this school, that it continue to be a place of peace where life abundant flourishes, its teachers dedicated to bless their students, its students receptive to blessings you give through this school, their families and their friends, that all may enjoy your blessings of peace. In your holy name we pray. Amen.
要用一种日子嗰啲領章，俾咗顧咗有，就睇咗，讓上下但咩是咩路時候冇弄嘅，都講俾你弄，他我有時放個網就俾做領做到。Ladies and gentlemen, veterans, service members of the armed forces, parents, grandparents, alumni, honored guests, and of course, friends of HAPA. On this joyous and historical occasion, with pride, we proudly welcome all of you to the Hmong American Peace Academy 10th year anniversary, as well as honoring the veterans who truly make sacrifices so that we can have freedom. My name is Chris Herjong, founder and executive director of this beautiful program called Hmong American Peace Academy. Today's event marks an important and historical milestone for the Academy, the Hmong people, and this entire community, as we celebrate a decade of HAPA as a high-performing school and as the largest Hmong charter school in the United States, as well as in the world. We look back at our past, live in the present, but always, always move forward for the future. Hence, we are celebrating our 40th anniversary, when the Hmong were scattered all around the world because we were allies of the Americans during the Secret War. We also mark the 50th year of the Vietnam War, which, however, ironically, brought us all together. To that end, we know that freedom is never free. And so at this time, in honor of all of those who served, we will be honoring the Vietnam Veterans Ceremony. And we have a couple of remarks that we will be making. But would you please at this time help me to welcome the handsome and talented, legendary John Milan.
If she's going to call me handsome, I'm coming back tomorrow, the next day, the next day, the next day. It's an honor to be here today and being with such a wonderful group of veterans. Some of them I recognize from past events. And it's just an honor to be here. It was my duty to serve, and it's a pleasure to be here and continue to serve my country in ways on television, in community events, and veterans events. But enough about me. Let's talk about John Puttrey, representing Major General Dunbar from the headquarters of Wisconsin Air National Guard, Madison, Wisconsin. He has a few words to say.
On behalf of Major General Donald Dunbar, the Adjutant General of Wisconsin, for all the 10,000 men and women serving soldiers and airmen of the Wisconsin National Guard, it's my honor today to speak to you and pay tribute to all the veterans, and more specifically this morning, the Vietnam veterans and the Hmong Vietnam War veterans that are in attendance. This past summer marked the 100th anniversary of the start of World War I, the one war that was supposed to end all wars. 9 million soldiers from the warring nations would die in that war, with countless more civilian casualties. The U.S. military paid dearly in Europe in that conflict, as we suffered more than 320,000 casualties in just over 1 year of fighting. Wisconsin, during that time, sent more than 122,000 Native sons and daughters in the First World War, and nearly 4,000 made the ultimate sacrifice. After the challenge of that great war, the world would mark that as the first Armistice Day in November of 1919, in hopes that that would serve as a reminder of the valid and the terrible cost of war. But as you know today, that was not to be. We went on to several more, including Vietnam. The courage and commitment on display in our military and among our veterans is not commonplace. Despite the seemingly large numbers of veterans, our veterans represent less than 1% of our nation's population, and that 1% has shouldered the load for the entire nation of free-loving people. By bearing that heavy burden, the combat veteran and those who have served beside us have secured us the peace and the prosperity, the security, the life, and the liberty, and the pursuit of happiness that all of us enjoy today and future generations will enjoy tomorrow. The veterans of all wars helped secure those ideals. But today we are here to recognize the Vietnam veterans, and more specifically, the Hmong veterans who have contributed to our freedom. I want to thank you today for the opportunity to speak, to get that message out, and for us to remember all the veterans who have given their lives for our freedom, and those veterans that are still alive, and hope that they continue to live free and prosper and support the different organizations that are around that actually support veterans' health and benefits. I'd also like to remind us to remember those thousands that are currently serving overseas, and make sure that we pay tribute to those thousands that gave their lives in defense of this great nation, and those that are here today. So for that, I thank you. I thank the veterans of Vietnam. I thank the Hmong community and the Hmong veterans who supported us during the war. And these gentlemen and the women are what makes our nation great. Thank you.
Next, we have Lieutenant Colonel Tu Fu Vang. He graduated from Iowa State University in 1968 with a major in government and a history degree. He returned to Laos and was drafted to serve in the Royal Lao Army military services. As a graduate from the state, he was fluent in English. Therefore, he served as the right-hand man to our General Bang Pao. Would you please help me to welcome Colonel Tu Fu Vang to the podium.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Distinguished guests, veterans, ladies and gentlemen, parents and students. It's an honor and a privilege to be invited by Mrs. Chris He Xiong, the principal of this popular school, Hmong American Peace Academy, to talk about how the Hmong got involved in the secret war in Laos during the Vietnam War. The time is right for all of us, especially the young people, to get to know Asia as much as we can, because America has been asked to go back to Asia to provide security and ensure political stability so that economic growth and trade in that part of the world will progress smoothly. Therefore, I want to commend your principal and teachers for celebrating Hmong American Peace Academy with emphasis on Asia, particularly Laos. This is probably because a good number of you students have parents who came from Laos after the Vietnam War. I have been asked to comment on the ultimate unintended consequences of the war. In my opinion, there are two parts to this question. First, on the Hmong, and second, on the country as a whole. And each part has the positive and negative side of it. On the Hmong, the positive unintended consequences are that many Hmong, about 300,000, are fortunate to come to America, France, Australia, and Canada, etc., and have made impressive progress in education, business, farming, and military. The negative unintended consequences are that the communists retaliate severely against the Vang Pao Hmong, who sided with the Americans during the secret war. And many Hmong try to flee to Thailand by walking through the jungle, suffer greatly. As for the unintended consequences on Laos as a whole, there are a lot on the negative side. Laos has been controlled by Vietnam since 1975 and still has 70,000 troops to provide security for the country and has advisors at every level of government. Vietnam and China also are immigrating into Laos with about 300 million people. Laos is now governed by one single communist party that dictates everything from top down to the village level. The Lao people lost their dignity and are not able to express their voice or ideas. The country's precious minerals and natural resources such as gold, silver, tin, and pricey timber woods, are depleting fast. With a span of 39 years, causing devastating damage to the environment and severe flooding to the country every year, especially to towns and cities along the Mekong River. On the positive side, for the country, like the Hmong, Laos has many educated people in America, France, and Australia, and they have about 1,750 ready to go back to Laos to help rebuild the country. After nearly 40 years, the Lao inside the country are fed up with communism. Lao people are now rising up inside and overseas to reclaim their country. They are requesting the international community under the U.S. leadership to compel Vietnam to withdraw its military and advisors from Laos in its totality immediately. And with America being asked to go back to Asia to provide security, all Lao overseas and inside the country hope to be reunited as soon like Cambodia and Burma or Myanmar, to rebuild the country to be a true independent, peaceful, and prosperous nation like its ASEAN neighbors. Thank you. And now we'll look at the slide to recap my talk. Thank you.
Brothers in arms from Vietnam, a friend. He was once named Milwaukee Veteran of the Year. Joe Campbell.
Well, thank you, John. To be the third speaker and to find out the two before you told you everything that I was going to say, boy, I'll tell you, that leaves me with, what can I really say? And I look out, Hmong American Peace Academy. What a name. It implies peace. And yet, 40 years ago and more, it took a war to bring the peace. Isn't that strange? I look at the youth here, of which all they will know is the history. But more importantly, they know their parents and their grandparents who gave the absolute all in secret to fight with us Vietnam veterans in a war that we wish we never had. And we didn't even know who the Hmong were. If it wasn't for the Hmong, I truly believe that we would have lost far more than 58,000. We probably would have lost over 200,000. Now, how could that be? These Hmong veterans fought so hard and so tenacious that the North Vietnamese had to actually go after them in Laos while they were trying to shut down the Ho Chi Minh Trail. That it took them time and effort to go after the Hmong, which meant they weren't infiltrating us as rapidly. And to you Hmong soldiers out there, and I know a lot of you don't speak English, and that is fully understood, but when I say Ocean Dao, you know I mean it. Thank you. I'd like to end basically to let you know that the war for us now, us, our Hmong brothers and sisters, my fellow Vietnam veterans, brothers and sisters, the war for us is over. We know that. But unfortunately, we also know it's going to be there for the rest of our lives. I can't thank you enough. And I can't thank my fellow Vietnam veterans enough. Because one of the things we have done when we came back from Vietnam, somehow we were treated as the enemy. It was not good. And it caused severe pain and trauma and concern to every one of us. But one thing we have learned from that is that in the process of healing, we will make sure that none of our brothers and sisters, your sons and daughters that are serving our country today will ever be treated the way we were. And we commit to that. We honor them, we respect them, and we welcome them home. And I thank you all so very, very much for coming here today and letting us be a part of your program. And to you youth, don't lose that dignity, don't lose that style, don't lose that beautiful culture that you have that is so family oriented and blessed with. God bless you all. Thank you.
And that's it for this edition of Veterans Newsline. Join us again next time for more veterans news and events from southeastern Wisconsin. Until next time, I'm Dave Ryba. Thanks for watching.